everyone, this is Sonic the Hedgehog, and today I will be reading you all Blue's Clues Sorrow, a Blue's Clues Lost Episode creepypasta. This is in Geoshea's Lost Episodes wiki. Now, the Shadow Reader read it, Undo read it, and the Shadow Lioness read it. Credit goes to them. Now, I decided to read this because I heard that it's very popular, and yeah, I heard it was very popular and it was praised by many, including the Shadow Lioness herself. So I thought, okay, what the heck, I'll give it a read. Now, without wasting any more time, let's do this. To protect my privacy, I have kept my name anonymous. I'm not sure how to begin my story, but I'll do the best I can. I guess I'll start by informing you about the show, Blue's Clues. For those of you who have never watched it, Blue's Clues is a show for young children that was created in 1996 and lasted for 10 years with a total of 6 seasons and 142 episodes. The show involves Steve or Joe looking for clues and solving mysteries with help from the audience. Blue was an animated dog who labeled the clues with her paw prints. Blue's Clues was a hit with many little kids, including me. The idea was original and the artwork was amazing. However, Steve Burns was the backbone of the show. Steve Burns was the actor who played Steve. He was more serious than Barney the dinosaur, but he loved kids and knew exactly how to make them happy. There was just something magical about his enthusiasm that made me want to watch more and more of his episodes. The saddest part of my childhood was when Steve left the show in 2002 and pursued a musical career. Steve was replaced by Donovan Patton, who was the actor for Joe, but it wasn't the same. I stopped watching Blue's Clues after Steve left. The show just lost its magic for me. Joe was nothing like Steve. He was a total goofball, and my mother told me that Donovan Patton was acting too hard. When I turned 16, my family moved to a large 3-story house in upstate New York that was previously owned by a nice old lady. A few weeks after moving in, I decided to do some exploring in the attic. I found an old trunk. To my surprise, it was filled with a bunch of old VHS tapes. All of them were Blue's Clues tapes. I knew the old lady's cell phone number, so I decided to call her and ask her about the tapes. She told me that she bought them from a collector a few years back for her little grandson to watch. After I thanked her and hung up, I emptied the trunk before checking the tapes. All of them had episodes that I already watched, except for one. The one tape I found just had a regular sticker, not a factory sticker like the other tapes had. The title on the sticker was Blue's Clues Sorrow. I thought the title was a little strange, but I figured it was just a copy of the Steve Goes to College episode, the one where Steve goes off to college and Joe takes his place. Because Steve said goodbye to all of his friends in that episode, I considered it to be very sorrowful indeed. When my parents went on their anniversary trip and left me in charge of the house one night, I figured it was a perfect opportunity to check out the tape. Our TV has a VCR, and I have to admit, I felt a tingle of excitement when I placed the tape in my player. I was about to relive my childhood memories of watching Blue's Clues. I didn't care that I was too old to watch it. I knew for sure that I would enjoy it. At least, that's what I thought. The episode started off completely normal. The Blue's Clues book opened up, and Steve looked out the window of his little yellow house. "Hi out there, it's me, Steve. Have you seen Blue? Oh, wait, she's not here. Well, come on in." The front door opened, and Steve was in the living room looking concerned. I I need to tell you something important. Blue is at the vet, and she is having an operation on her heart. I hope she's okay. Steve stopped talking. Steve stopped talking and looked down at the floor. The scene ended. The next scene showed Steve at the vet. He sat in the waiting room without making a sound. He did nothing but stare at the doors which led to the operating rooms. A surgeon opened the door, but she wasn't an animated character. She was a real person. She whispered in Steve's ear, but I could hear everything she said. Her heart stopped beating. We tried our best, but we couldn't get it to beat again. I'm sorry. The scene ended. The next scene started with the title card saying that a month had passed after Blue's funeral. A deep voice spoke. There are 5 stages in the grieving process: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance, the voice said. Steve will experience 3 stages all at once: depression, anger, and mental illness. Steve was in his bedroom, lying on his bed. He began to cry, and the color of the episode turned black and white, like a depressing old photograph. Steve cried so hard, his breathing grew shallow. The scene ended. The next scene shows Steve sitting up on his bed. He stopped crying, but his face was now red and his teeth were clenched tightly. He held a stuffed anteater Horace with both hands. He screamed, "Blue!" at the top of his lungs. His scream sent chills down my spine. Steve ripped off Horace's head, and black ooze squirted out of the stuffed animal's neck. Steve threw Horace in a fit of rage. When the anteater landed, his ooze stopped completely, covered the floor. I fought the urge to vomit. Against my better judgment, I decided to keep watching. Steve's body began to turn a darker and darker color by a second. After about 5 seconds, Steve turned completely black. He got up out of the bed, walked out of the bedroom, and walked into his living room. I thought he was going to sit in his big red thinking chair, but he didn't. He stood in front of the chair and stared at the screen for a few full minutes. His eyes lost their pupils and became nothing more than white dots. He started crying again, and while tears streamed down his face, some sad piano music began to play. The music was so heartbroken, I shed a few tears myself. A message flashed across the screen. You can't figure out Blue's Clues, but you can't figure out insanity. The scene ended. The next scene showed Steve still standing in the living room. He was no longer crying, and his body was a completely normal color. I can't live without Blue, he said. She was my best friend. She gave my life happiness and meaning. Without her, I have nothing to live for. The kids in the background that helped Steve find the clues started to cry and whimper. They shouted, "Please don't, Stu. Please don't do it, Steve. We love you. We're your friends too." "I'm sorry," Steve said. "I'm sorry if I break your hearts for doing this, but I have no choice. Goodbye." He held up a container. The camera zoomed in on the label, which said potassium cyanide. Steve had a calm look on his face as he swallowed the contents of the container. He instantly collapsed on the carpet. He foamed at the mouth while his body twitched and thrashed on the floor like he was being electrocuted. Steve eventually stopped moving, and I knew that he was dead. And this is where I will stop for part 1. Stay tuned for part 2 of Sonic the Hedgehog reads Blue's Clues Sorrow.